What is the most overrated popular film?
Wow. Kyle wants to start fights.
I'm looking to pick a brawl here with society.
I'm going to go with the, as of today, unreleased Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie.
So funny.
Coming out October 13th.
Yeah, because that is going to like end the world, huh?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
It's like our new Y2K.
And you stating that opinion is going to lose our audience.
Oh, yeah. The notorious Swiftie demographic on Butter No Parsnips.
But Butter No Parswifts.
Oh,
wow.
Changing the name already.
Emily, you got a film?
I mean, Tenet, I did not care for.
Oh,
It really was just like all explosions and car chases and all the substance didn't make sense. Well, it billed itself as like a cerebral film, but it didn't really, none of it made sense. It was dumb. I didn't like it.
I loved it. I mean, I also saw it that was the first movie I saw in theaters during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I think I was just happy to be in a movie theater.
There was one theater that was playing all of my childhood home movies, which was weird. That was the first movie I saw during the pandemic.
That's a movie that you think is overrated, Kyle? That everybody loves?
Yeah, that everybody loves. And I was just like, The production value was lackluster.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Kyle Imperatore and Emily Moyers take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Speaking of lackluster production value, hey everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I am Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperatore, and today we have a guest parsnip with us.
What?
Ronnie Gross Jr. Say hi, Ronnie.
Hi, everybody.
Wow, so Kyle, what is Ron an expert in that we're bringing him in as a
Nothing.
guest? Oh.
Ron is an expert in nothing. He's got no knowledge, and that's why we're having him on as a guest today.
That is correct. Today's experiment is, can two experts and a total idiot talk about any word?
Well, in this episode, I'm also the idiot, Ron. Only Kyle knows the word.
Oh, Emily, I've waited my whole life for you to call yourself an idiot.
So, for those of you at home, Ronnie is an actor and musician based out of Orlando, Florida. He is a former host of the movie podcast Coffee Clutch with Ron and Jill.
Oh.
He's my first friend ever and
Wow.
enjoys running a bit into the ground. Ronnie, why don't you tell the folks a little more about yourself?
Well, I think I'm legally obligated to be on this podcast. I am
Legally.
here to show or introduce the audience to your new Patreon level of $5,000. If you subscribe to Butter No Parsnips at the $5,000 level, you too can buy your way into the podcast.
That's right.
Wow.
And become Kyle's first and best
First friend ever.
Yeah.
We can rewrite history like Tenet.
It's at the same time a high bar, but also a low bar, you know? I'm going to change all of my memories for just $5,000. It's kind of incredible. So, Ron, with
Yes.
Coffee Clutch, you guys were attempting to watch through AFI's top 100 movies, right?
That is correct.
Tell me a little about your experiences doing that.
So, yeah, because I think there are several podcasts who try to do the same thing, but I think part of the charm was I was doing this with my Aunt Jill, who I love her. She is my favorite. Don't tell the others. But no, we've always had this camaraderie between the two of us. And so we said, why don't we start a podcast? So we just watched the movie every week and then talked about it and then inevitably talked about whatever else was going on Long Island, New York.
Did you guys agree on your movie opinions? Did you have strong opinions about popular films?
I think, yeah, for the most part, we had similar tastes and similar opinions to both, or to all of the movies that we watched. The only one I think that we were not on the same page about was Song of the South, which was not on,
wow.
on the list.
Yikes.
No.
So I think that's where we ended the podcast.
Yeah. Okay, Ron, so here's how this is going to go down, okay? I have a secret special word for you two, and you two are going to have to try to define the word using the power of friendship. And when you inevitably can't, I will reveal a world of secrets to you.
I can't wait because I'm going to know the word. I'm going to bet my $5,000 that I could already contributed to Better Know Parsnips that I'm going to know this word.
Boy,
it's very possible.
What a bold boy you are, Ron.
He's a bold boy. Okay, everyone ready? Loins girded?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Your word today is Greeble.
Oh.
Greeble. Greeble.
Greeble?
Greeble. I told you I'd know the word.
Ron.
Yeah,
If you tell me you know this word, I'm going to leave this podcast.
Oh my God. It's a family word.
A
What does that
family
even
word?
mean?
What is-
My
what does that mean?
family for generations, the Grosses for generations have oft talked about this word, oft used this word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
actually where it originated.
I mean,
Oh, from the Gross clan.
Yeah, the Greeble Grosses.
the Greeble Gross clan. Yeah. Well, all right. If you actually know it, I would like a moment to guess, because I have a guess.
I'm going to let you guess.
Is there a hint, Kyle?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a hint. Do you want to know what kind of piece of language it is? Part of language
I
it is?
assumed it's a noun, but now I'm nervous.
Well, it is a noun. It can also be used as a verb.
To Greeble? Oh,
To Greeble?
And can I have a hint?
Your hint is starship.
So that supports what I think it is. I'm so worried I'm wrong because it's a hyper-specific guess that I have.
I mean, maybe it's just right.
So,
But in that case, I want to hear what Ron's guess is.
all right,
first.
Ron, you go.
Sure. Oh, yeah. No, to Greeble. The verb to Greeble is to puree Betty Grable.
What?
That's
Ron said,
it's been only
I
done
definitely know
once.
this word. My family uses it all the time. We're always blending Betty Grable.
always.
There's only been one greebling ever.
The great Greeble of 1956.
Yeah, the great gross greeble.
I fully believed you, Ron.
Oh, Emily, you silly witch.
Kyle, is this a thing involved in model making?
Wow. It may be, Emily.
So I think in model making, greebles, or as Adam Savage calls them, greeblies, are like the little bits on models, like the little, I forget if it's like the little bits that you need to cut away that were left over from molding the plastic, or the little bits that you have to stick on to make it look good. It's one of those two things.
Emily and Ron in association, that second one is the answer.
The second one is the bits that you add.
Yeah. So a greeble is a small piece of detailing added to break up the surface of an object and add visual interest, particularly in movie special effects.
Yeah.
And so to greeble means to add greebles to a surface.
Sure. That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you understand that, Ron? Because, like, what the hell does that mean is what I had to keep reading this over and over again to really understand.
I thought I was pureeing a human. Please explain more.
So, yeah, I mean, basically, it's like when you have a flat surface and you put, like, random things on it to make it look interesting.
Yeah, so like you're making your tiny Millennium Falcon and you just have a surface of gray plastic, but then you add little windows and you put little fake dirt stains in it so it looks worn and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it may get a little bit more specific than that, but we'll get into that. We'll get into it.
All right.
Okay.
So greebling can be done both practically, as in on models, but it can also be done with computer graphics technology as well. Can you guys name of any, I mean, Emily, you kind of already have, but can you name any films or TV shows where greebling might have been used as a part of the production?
I mean, Star Wars for sure.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Is this only for sci-fi, or is this...
I think of it in conjunction with miniatures.
With miniatures.
Well, we'll get all into that in a bit. So, yeah, Star Wars is a good one. It isn't clear where the term originates. It's possible that it came about in Los Angeles art schools in the late 60s, meaning something like a fussy detail.
Yeah.
You know?
Little greebles, little details.
Little greebles, yeah. But there is better evidence, though, that the term was first used by the special effects team behind a certain space opera. Which space opera do you guys think that was?
Yeah, Ron, of all the space operas, which do you think it might be?
Probably Jason 10 when he goes to space.
Jason 10?
Oh, man.
I don't even know what Jason 10 is.
Kyle, you clearly have never done a deep dive on any of the Jason movies. Because
it's a space opera we've already mentioned here.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
I just love the idea of George Lucas trying to just articulate what he wants out of this movie that nobody is understanding because it's the first one in 1971 or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just I don't know, can you just greeble it a little? And people are like,
Greebles.
What? Greeble. Yeah, just say more greebles on the Millennium Falcon.
George, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you got the big walking carpet guy, and he's gargling around. Just greeble him a little bit.
Gargling around.
Okay, you haven't defined the word greeble once.
Well, and then he throws his fresh coffee at an intern and then storms off the set. Because no one can understand this word he just made up.
Then turns to the intern and says, "Get me a new coffee."
while his skin is burning.
He's scalding hot, yeah. Ron, I can't tell you how close to the truth you are there.
Really?
Yeah. So we're going to start at the beginning. So imagine, yes, the Star Wars, kind of a brand new conceptualization of sci-fi, right?
Yeah. Action sci-fi.
Yeah, and just the visual looks were very different from previous sci-fi endeavors. So the concept art for Star Wars was all done by a man named Ralph McQuarrie. And his designs for characters like R2-D2 and settings like the starships incorporated lots of vents and panels and robot type gadgets on them to make it look interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
The direction that him and George Lucas wanted to go in for the film was way more realistic than other sci-fi films had previously looked. I was reading that they were influenced by Westerns and they were influenced by a lot more realistic movies because the sci-fi movies at the time were kind of chrome and, minimalist,
But Star Wars looked kind of gritty, everyday dirty,
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's on Tatooine, it's all just dirt.
There's just dirt there, huh?
Yeah, everything has to look like there has been sand in it for centuries.
Everyone looks like Pigpen from the Peanuts just walking around in space.
Yeah. So the design team struggled to figure out how to make this look work on a tight budget because it just by nature of it being realistic meant that everything had to look lived in. So there had to be lots of things and a lot of attention had to be paid to these details, you know?
Yeah.
So in hoping to emulate this look cheaply, designer Roger Christian says in his memoir, Cinema Alchemist, that he visited a film rental facility where amongst his finds was a box of 1950s airplane air nozzles and reading lamps. And he ultimately left with a box of them and other old bits of scrap. And he said that this event, him leaving with this box of scrap, provided him the germ of the idea of using scrap and junk as a solution to getting the look that he envisaged for Star Wars. So he was like, wait, this whole movie's about junk. Let's just use junk instead of making new things for it.
That's so funny.
But like that is sort of the look, is all like repurposed garbage.
That's the whole scene in Star Wars. Like when they're going to when Luke and Uncle Owen go to buy C-3PO and R2-D2, like the junk bin just rolls into town.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just see what kind of garbage we can buy today.
Yeah, and that's all garbage that he bought somewhere or found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of that airplane reading lamp that he picked up, Christian says, this little Greeble I added, the first one to go onto the little mock-up robot of R2-D2, has remained as a part of R2-D2's character ever since. It was the first thing that he purchased, and it was the first thing that he put on R2-D2, and it stayed. It became a part of his character.
So what
just
part?
On a whim.
The little like light that's on him?
Yeah, if you look at R2-D2.
Everybody listening right now, pull up a picture of R2-D2.
Yeah, maybe in your mind palace if you need to. You see in the center there's the his eye, which is that like kind of circle, and then down just a little bit and to the right is like a nozzle like thing.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's just from an airplane, on a reading lamp from an airplane in the 50s. Hilarious. That he was like, I could put it here. That might work.
Fantastic.
And it looks like if you're just to like see R2-D2, you'd be like, oh, what could he use all those things for scanning things, or
it
like
must be important.
Yeah.
So, and did he just invent Greeble in that journal entry?
So, no. So, I wrote here, you won't guess who the name came from, but Ronnie kind of did. So, Christian writes in his memoir, Greebles was the name George came up with one day.
That's so
George
funny.
Lucas basically walked up to them one day and said, stick some Greebles on them.
Really good, George Lucas.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've been practicing.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah. So he basically said that. And Christian says, we liked the name. It was so appropriate for what I was doing. And as there was no name for this, as it was a new invention that I had come up with, we christened anything that we stuck onto found objects as Greebles from then on to give them the Star Wars natural look. And he says that the rest of the crew called everything Greebles for the rest of filming.
Wow. So I was right. So it was Greebles first, and then it got shortened to Greeble?
That's what it seems like. Yeah. It's like it's been called Greeble or Greebles or Greeble or Greebles over time. It's kind of like,
No, Greeble sounds like a Star Wars character or like a race of aliens.
Greeble shot first.
Yeah.
Oh, Emily, I'm gonna murder you.
But so he says that the Greebles gave the created this natural look that they were going for Star Wars. That aesthetic that Star Wars kind of sort of invented for sci-fi is an aesthetic that is now called used future.
That's a fun name for that.
Isn't that a great name?
That's an oxymoron.
What do you mean?
Well,
but it's like a future with an implied past.
Yeah, but it's the future. Yes. How could the past be in the future?
Well, every time has a past.
That is how the past
How do you think we got to the future? There was a past before it.
Yeah, but if it's used future, that's just saying that tomorrow was yesterday's tomorrow. Or no, that's not right.
Ron. I think Ron's brain is time traveling inside of his skull right now.
Tomorrow is yesterday's tomorrow.
Today is yesterday's tomorrow, and tomorrow is. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting brain juices coming out of my ears right now. Sorry.
Some horrifying FDR speech. Okay. So Greebles were used on more than just R2-D2. They were used throughout Star Wars' production.
Yeah.
They were used on the Stormtrooper weapons. They were used on the costumes for the Tusken Raiders. They were used in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Christian's memoir talks about Greebles in so many different areas.
But was it a thing in the miniatures as well? Like the spaceship miniatures or anything?
Right. So Greebling as a term, as an action, also broadened past the production of Star Wars, the meaning broadened to mean using very complex, realistic parts on exterior sets to imply a sense of scale. So, like was done on the Imperial Star Destroyers and the Death Star in Star Wars, those were models, right? That were that had the greebling applied to the exterior of the model to make it seem like, oh, space is so big, you know?
Yeah, it would like seem more detailed, so it seemed bigger.
Right. So it seemed like, wow, yeah, if there's so many details on there, how big must this thing be? There are some other sci-fi endeavors that have employed this technique. Can you think of any others?
I would have to imagine a Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek uses a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lord of the Rings is the one I mentioned before.
I don't know how much greebling happens in Lord of the Rings.
I mean, I know they did lots of miniatures stuff.
Yes. I mean, they absolutely work with models and miniatures.
Tell us other movies, Kyle.
So, visual effects designer Ron Thornton, he used greebling on the TV series Babylon 5.
Oh.
But he didn't call them greebles or greeblies. He called them nurnies, which is a term that we think perhaps might have predated that production period. So he might have gotten that from somewhere else. We just don't know when. The earliest we can attest it to is Babylon 5.
Oh, wow.
Nurnies are fun. They sound like aliens too.
The wars between the nurnies and the greeblies has waged for millennia.
Oh,
Ron, give us the trailer for that movie.
the war between the Greeblies and the what is the other word? The Nurnies.
Yeah.
75,000 years have passed. The Nurnies scavenge off the land.
Oh.
They live off of dirt and water, which they gather from their own pores, their sweats. The Greeblies live in a high land covered with grass and trees and dewdrops.
The greeblies are covered in grass?
They live in a land. They live in a land.
Keep up, Kyle. You gotta see the
Come
vision.
on.
Yeah. Is this on the scrolling text?
Yeah, this is like a Star Wars scrolling.
Yeah.
All this.
Yeah, you don't get to see any of it. You have to read it all.
Yeah,
You have to read it.
And like it's going just a little bit too fast.
People are pausing.
It's not keeping up with the narrator. So before Star Wars used their greeblies and Babylon 5 used their nurnies, the model making team for 2001 A Space Odyssey employed the same process, but they called it wiggeting, and they called their greebles wiggets and their artists wiggeters.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. These nerds gotta just stop. They gotta stop almost committing hate crimes and just they are the wiggets and gerbils and
Gerbils
and
Gerber
narcooses.
baby buggy bumper.
They're just, it's like they're trying to get away with a slur, and I hate it.
In their defense, the 2001 team was British, so they don't understand,
And the British are just all racist.
So the idea for this visual effects technique of greebling has its origins in something called kit bashing.
Come on. Come
I think
on,
kit
guys.
bashing is what the Brits call masturbation.
Boy, I've just finished up some kit bashing.
I've just finished up.
Oh my god.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I was in the
I was just kit bashing with some gerbils.
Goebbels. This needs to stop because none of it can go in.
Oh, I think it's all going to go in, Emily.
Well, that's what happens when you bring me on as a guest.
So, kit bashing comes from professional model making, and it's the idea of using pieces from existing commercial kits to create a new model.
Yes, I have heard of this. I did not know the term.
And I can tell you where the term comes from. You ready for that?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
So Brian Johnson, who was a model maker for 2001: A Space Odyssey, said that he picked up the term kit bashing from his time in the Royal Air Force, where kit bashing referred to polishing uniforms. So bashing was like polishing the brass buttons, and kit is another term for a uniform, or for your outfit.
And this was the lead singer of AC/DC, you said?
Yeah, I was going to say not the same Brian Johnson. It's a different Brian Johnson. So when he was working on the sci-fi puppet show Thunderbirds, you guys ever heard of this show?
Of course not, Kyle. What crazy thing is that?
Never in my life.
So Thunderbirds is a sci-fi puppet show. It was a pretty cool thing. But Brian Johnson was working on this sci-fi puppet show Thunderbirds, and he and the designer Derek Meddings were using lots of plastic kits in it, and he just swapped the term kit as in uniform for kit as in plastic model bits,
right,
and just started calling what they were doing kit bashing.
Ah.
And it became the term for kit bashing in model making.
But that is just how slang happens, you know?
That's
just like
just
one
how slang
guy
happens.
says it, and here we are.
Kit bashing is useful for a few reasons. First, it helps speed up the production process, right? Because you don't have to spend hours creating new details from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be used to hide things. For example, the detailing around the side of the Millennium Falcon, you know how there's like kind of like a little indent all around the side of it with like a bunch of little doodly dads, greebles inside of it?
I believe you.
It's there to hide a seam where the top of the model can be removed between takes.
That makes sense. You gotta hide your crimes.
I have something to say. Could this be used for, because going back to Star Wars, Boba Fett's costume was, I think, originally just a painted stormtrooper outfit. Can that be used in the same context? Or is this bullshit?
I mean, you're
like as
it's
in
related because you're like repurposing another thing.
Yeah. Kit bashing is kit bashing is more specifically used. It's a model making term. So it's referring to taking disparate parts from other models and repurposing them to be a new thing.
To make like a Franken model.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know. Maybe in the sense that kit is an outfit. It's kit bashing.
It's a new meaning of kit bashing. Ron's coining new words now.
He's coining new words here, yeah. The last reason why kit bashing is useful is that, as Ryan Lambie states in his 2018 Den of Geek article, kit bashing also provides the audience with a subconscious link between the real world and the fantastical one on the screen.
Ooh.
So in Star Wars, it's like one of the ways that it kind of helps make it feel lived in is because you can say, oh, I recognize some of these like bits of junk.
They look like airline parts.
Yeah. Like it feels more real to me now.
Yeah. I wholly concur. I feel like the world of Star Wars feels very like viscerally close. Like I could reach out and touch it.
I mean, I was there today.
Oh.
I went to Star Wars and everything was so brown and so beige and so lived in. Do you know they had Coca-Cola?
And now you don't want your greebles to be too recognizable, though, which is why many model makers stick with industrial and military parts when they're kit bashing. For example, the feet on the AT-ST Walker are said to be from a model of a tank destroyer, which is a type of an armored vehicle.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So next time you're looking at one of those, you can say, oh, that's where that came from. And kit bashing is also used for greebling in the CGI community, where kits and plugins are created utilizing collections of various CGI models that have been cobbled together from the internet, but put in one place for people to use for greebling.
That's so fun.
That's so convenient.
It's like a little wiki commons for CGI.
Yeah, isn't that so great?
Amazing.
But like they only like gather the ones that like they think will be useful for, sci-fi.
It's just thrifting.
It's just thrifting. Yeah.
Like sci-fi thrifting. Love it.
And lastly, greebling and kit bashing are also used practically in the Lego community.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that like when you put on the little stickers?
No. So it's exactly how greebling works in film and in CGI.
Oh,
where
like kit bashing?
Yeah, where you find like detailing pieces from a bunch of other places and put them on your models.
Delightful. Adorable.
So, in fact, you might just find Lego modelers using miscellaneous detailing bricks to create complex Lego models, say, of the starships from Star Wars, perhaps.
Right, but not using the kit for the starship from Star Wars.
No, they'd use, yeah, exactly. They use miscellaneous.
That's just Lego building with more steps.
Yeah.
But more
But it makes it
creativity,
look,
Ron.
yeah,
More
and it makes it
individuality.
look fancier. You should look up some of like the really crazy like Millennium Falcon models for Lego.
Would you
out there.
Google
They're
that
kinda
as
crazy.
like kit bashing Lego or greebling Lego?
It is a term that they use in the Lego community, greebling.
Wow.
Really?
Amazing.
And Greeble is also used in psychology in a completely different sense. It's got a completely different meaning. And it's used in a couple other niche areas, which we don't have time for. There's like a couple other meanings for Greeble, which are fun. But perhaps look out for that on the Patreon at a lower than $5,000 tier. We may
You
talk
mean to
about
tell
that in
me
the future.
I spent my life savings on this and I didn't even need to?
Kyle, can it? I told him that was the lowest level he could pledge.
Yeah. No. I'm just kidding, Ron.
I've made a terrible mistake.
But you didn't make a mistake by coming on here. Ron, Emily, that was Greeble. What'd you guys think?
Wow. I liked Greeble. I like Greeble. I like Greeble.
That's
Oh,
good.
God,
I'm
Ron's
glad.
Melting. he's blending himself like Betty
Fallen into
Grable.
Those are her last words. I love Greeble. I love Greeble.
This was a great word, Kyle, and everything you brought up was so fascinating.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you.
Good, Ron. I'm so glad. I hope you learned something today.
I hope he did too, because
Because the next part of this is, Ron, can you use Greeble in a sentence?
Oh, don't make me do this.
so funny. Abject horror.
Can I use Greeble in a sentence? I like to Greeble when. Oh, God. Use a word you just learned about and then speak about it.
Why don't you try and use it as a noun, Ron?
Greeble. Oh, no.
Wow, she's going to start with Greebles?
Ron was about to recite a haiku about greebles.
George Lucas loves to Greeble all of his coffee onto an intern. Thank you.
Okay, I think maybe we can follow that up with Emily. Would you like to try using Greeble in a sentence?
All right. All of the greeblies on the inside of the 2001 spaceship make the movie feel so much more detailed and beautiful.
Oh, so
Lovely.
elegant.
Lovely. Two
So
perfect,
great.
Equally
two
good
perfect
sentences.
uses of, yeah. Are you guys ready for a game?
Yes, I'm ready for a game.
Me too.
Awesome. Your game today is called I Find Your Lack of Greeblies Disturbing.
So funny.
So, Star Wars aliens have notoriously crazy names. So it shouldn't be much of a surprise that George Lucas came up with Greebly off the top of his head,
Yeah, that
as he
makes
did
sense.
with all the other Star Wars aliens.
Yeah.
What is crazy, though, is that there are other equally crazy terms in the special effects lexicon.
Sure. That makes sense.
So I'm going to give you guys a word, and you're going to have to guess, is this a special effect word or a Star Wars alien?
Oh.
Okay. And this is going to be competitive. I'm going to tally.
crap.
All right.
All
You're
right.
both going to guess.
Emily, don't. Oh, crap. You're going to win.
I might not. Who knows?
Okay. You guys ready for your first word?
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to guess.
Your first word is bokeh. Bokeh. Bokeh.
Bokeh.
Oh.
I'm going to go Star Wars Alien.
I think this is a film thing, so I'm going to go special effects.
Wow, two opposite sides of the spectrum
Hey,
here.
listen, there's no point in competing if we're going to pick the same thing, you know?
I mean, absolutely true. I mean, do you guys have reasonings for choosing those, or is it just feelings based?
It's solely everything I do, Kyle. Everything I do on this podcast in life is based on feeling.
Ron
good.
is led by his heart in everything.
Led by his heart.
But my heart.
Well, his heart led him astray this time because bokeh is a special effects term.
Nice.
Bokeh is a photographic term for the aesthetic quality of out-of-focus areas created by a camera lens.
Those
So
are my
basically,
favorites.
when your camera isn't focused and all the lights are those blurry little dots,
Yeah.
that is the quality of bokeh.
That's what I thought.
That's a problem when I see that in everyday life, right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
as a
That's
glasses
called
wearer,
cataracts,
I know what you
Ron.
mean.
Yeah.
Especially when you're driving at night
Yeah.
on the highway.
Oh, God.
I love looking at Christmas trees with my glasses on.
Oh, those are the best.
So bokeh comes from the Japanese bokeh,
Oh.
B-O-K-E, which means blur. And that comes from bokeru, which means to blur.
Amazing.
Your next word is cucaloris.
Oh my God.
C-U-C-O-L-O-R-I-S. Cucaloris.
I'm going to go special effects term.
If that's anything other than an alien, I'm going to explode.
Oh boy, Emily, get ready to explode. Because a cucaloris is a special effects term.
What on earth does it mean?
It's got color right in the word, Emily.
That is not even where it comes from, Ron, surprisingly. A cucaloris is a device placed in front of a light that casts shadows or silhouettes for patterned illumination.
Okay.
They're often called cookies on film sets.
That's so fun.
We have no idea where the name comes from. There's a million suggestions for what it could be. They range from an eponym from the film director George Cukor to coming from the German Kokolores, which means nonsense or silly display.
Wow.
Cocolores.
Yeah.
They put them shadows on the film.
That's what that song is about.
You
Okay,
guys, you
ready?
gotta listen to Ron's music. It's all that good.
Your next one is Vecnoid. V-E-K-N-O-I-D, Vecnoid.
I love Stranger Things.
What are you thinking, Ron? Because I know what I'm thinking.
I know. I'm thinking that's a Star Wars creature.
It's gotta be, right?
It's gotta be.
I think we'll agree on this one.
Okay.
You're both correct. It is a Star Wars creature. So,
What is the planet of origin?
I can actually tell you, Ron.
Oh,
Vecnoids are a species of aliens from the planet Munus Mandel,
Modus Mental.
and they're notable for their large underbites, slender tails, and fleshy ears.
Ugh.
You might recognize the most famous Vecnoid. He was the flamboyant pod racer pilot Teamto Pagales from Star Wars The Phantom Menace.
Wow. Everyone's
Do we
favorite
all-
Star Wars.
Yeah.
We all love Vecnoids. I've got 3 Vecnoid plushes on my bed right now.
Your next one is Squib. S-Q-U-I-B, Squib.
Oh, I mean, that's
Okay.
just a word.
That's just a word. That's a Harry Potter word, though.
Yes,
You
but
think
it's
it's
also,
a
I think,
Harry Potter
British slang. I'm going
Well,
to
what
say
does
it's
it mean in Harry Potter land?
in Harry Potter land, it means someone who was born to wizard parents but doesn't have magic. In
Oh.
British slang, it means something that turns out to be a dud. Like a
So,
damp squib is something that turns out to be nothing.
Mhm.
I'd have to
but is it
imagine
an
that
alien
it's not an
or a
alien.
special effects term?
I think it's a special effects term.
I think it's a special effects term, but because we're playing for points, we can't both have the same answer.
It's true.
And all right, so Emily, since I'm the guest, you have to change your answer.
Okay, I'll say it's an alien.
Okay, Emily says it's an alien. Ron says it's special effects, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're both correct.
What?
So, Squibs are fox-like creatures with doe-like eyes from the planet Score 2, known for collecting knickknacks and their love of trading.
Oh.
The king of the squibs, King Eberi Bavibidi, ruled the squib polyanarchy when he declared the Jedi Order to be Kuvi, which is a Squibian basic slang word that implies extreme reverence and adoration.
I love everything you just said.
I'm still baffled that we both were correct.
Well, squibs are also special effects terms. A squib is a small tablet-shaped firecracker-like explosive used to create the practical effect of getting hit with a bullet, often paired with fake blood. Those are called squibs. Yeah.
Amazing.
Now you've got a term for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to shoot fake bullets at people.
Yeah, Ron does that all the time.
Eat my
He
squib.
does it all the time.
Eat my squib.
Okay, are you guys ready for the last one? This is for all the marbles.
Okay,
This is
all
it.
the marbles.
The last one is teak. T-E-E-K, teak.
Go to tickly. That's E.T. though. I'm gonna go Star Wars.
I will go special effects. I have no clue, so I'm happy that Ron picked first.
So, Ron is correct.
Wow.
Teak is an alien. That means Ron wins the game.
Yes, it does. But honestly, it's a relief because we've
It's
had
a
it where
relief,
the guest
yeah.
loses the game and it's
I know.
it's awful.
I know. So, teaks are rodent-like simian creatures with long pointed ears, scruffy white fur, and beady black eyes that live in the forest moon of Endor. I suggest everyone at home and you guys to Google what a teak looks like because they're incredible. And I'll tell you more about it as you do that. They run so fast that all you see is a blur, and they're known for stealing from Ewoks. And arguably the most well-known teak is Teak, the companion of the human scout Noah Briquelan, as played by Wilford Brimley in the absolutely real 1985 live-action made-for-TV movie Ewoks, The Battle for Endor,
Yes.
which was a sequel to the 1984 movie Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure, both starring Warwick Davis as the Ewok Wicket W. Warwick.
Oh,
Okay.
my God.
First thoughts. First thoughts. This creature looks like Seth.
Whoa. Whoa. For our podcast listeners out there, now you all know what he looks like.
Okay. First of all, I'm very lucky that Seth isn't here to defend himself because
No, it's fine. What did you? I just looked at Teak, Ron. What did I miss back there?
nothing. But you can. I'm just gonna. Hey guys, it's been great. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I feel like them making not one but two Ewok movies is the equivalent of the Minion movies that we have now.
For sure.
Yeah.
1000%.
It's just like,
Absolutely.
hey, everybody love these cute little guys. Let's milk them for all they're worth.
Ewok prequels out the wazoo. Ewok plushes. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was posting Ewok memes on just the bulletin boards at their community center.
I can't wait for the battle movie, the Minions versus the Ewoks, a la Freddy versus Jason.
So funny.
That is two Jason references in the same podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
And on that
It's
note,
beautiful.
we have to bring it home.
Yeah. So, Ron, you win the game. Congratulations. You are the Greeble King.
Oh, I'm the Greeble King. I'm a Greeble Gross. Always and
You
forever.
truly are.
You're the grossest of Greeble grosses.
And the greebliest of Greeble grosses.
And the Greebliest, yes.
I can't wait to put a whole bunch of trash on my body.
Well, you do that, Ron, and thank you so much for coming on the program today. We hope you had a blast and
I had
learned
a
a little
blast.
something along the way.
Thank you very much for having me. This was such a joy. Thank you, guys.
We're so happy to have had you. For the folks at home, can you let them know where you can be found online or perhaps in person?
You can find me on social media at Ronnie Gross Jr. That's on Facebook, Instagram, whatever is the was left of Twitter at this point. You could find me, if you're in the Orlando area, you could find me at Universal Studios in the production of Grinchmas, our live production of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I will be playing Euchariah for thousands and thousands of tourists thinking that this is a ride.
Love it.
Yeah, but you can follow my music on Spotify and Apple Music and wherever you get your music. And then you could find me on the moon, where I will be trying to recoup the $5,000 that I spent to get on this podcast.
So funny.
Fair. Yes, Ron, follow his social media. He's a very talented musician.
Absolutely.
The cream of the crop.
It's
Thank
great
you again
stuff.
for joining us today, Ron. Remember, for those of you at home, you can find Butter No Parsnips on social media as well, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you like today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more earns you a shout out either on social media or right here on the podcast. So thanks so much to
Heather B.,
Monica of Top Music,
Lori M.,
Pensive Primate,
Day D.,
Rob R.,
Jessica M.,
Randall H.,
Fran I.,
Stephen I.,
and Ronnie G.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperatore.
I've been Emily Moyers, and you've been
Ron Gross.
And this has been Butter No Parsnips.